Good evening, everyone. I really don't have a lot today. Just updates as far as it's the end of the first quarter. It seemed like the first quarter of the school year went by extremely fast. We've just completed parent-teacher conferences, which was definitely a success. We had a lot of parents come out. The teachers are so thoughtful just because the parent-teacher conference day was Veterans Day. But I saw several of the teachers gave evening conferences the week prior. So I really appreciate when they do that, just to accommodate, different schedules. As far as the end of the quarter, it's time for us to celebrate our honor roll students, and we're going to be doing our honor roll assembly on November 30th, and we decided to do it the same day as Grandparents' Day. So November 30th is also Grandparents' Day, so stay tuned for that. You should be getting some information about both of those activities. Report cards are always kind of tricky because they print them in a central location for every school, for every student, and there's been a couple times where we have selected a day after they're supposed to arrive and then they don't arrive, and we've had to change the honor roll assembly. So then with Thanksgiving coming up so quickly, I was scheduling a meeting for next Thursday, and they're like, that's Thanksgiving? I'm like, are you kidding me? And so we decided to do it the week after, so that would be November 30th. An update from our last meeting. I know we had talked about a school nurse, so we still don't have a school nurse. We've had a nurse that comes over from Hollywood Elementary. If there's something that we need a nurse for, there's a couple students that take medication, so she'll come over at that specific time to give medication to those students that need it. The county is aware. I followed up with our nurse manager yesterday, who comes over on a pretty frequent basis whenever we need her, whether it's about emergency healthcare plans or just questions in general. There's still about 30 vacancies of nurses, schools without nurses in the county. They are aware that we don't have a nurse. They put the nurses, they staff schools based on the needs of the students. So I guess in one hand, we're fortunate that we don't have students that are very sick and require, care from a nurse every day. But when we do need someone, we're able to get someone to come over. And we haven't had any major issues, so we're thankful for that. But they are aware, and I'm following up on that on a regular basis to see, does anyone know any nurses? Any RNs that are looking for a job, let us know. And that's all I have for today.
Last week it was talked about the playground, the field work hadn't been done yet, but that's been completed already.
No, and so the guys have not been able to bring that machine out that they need to bring out. I can't even remember what it was called, but this weather has been crazy, so they said that they couldn't bring it until it was completely dry, otherwise it would damage. But I will continue to follow up on that, but they haven't had an opportunity to come back for that. Right.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the Russian teaching? I understand from my daughter, the 5th grade is now no longer doing Russian. Is that a?
And so there was a discussion.
Thing?
So there was a discussion about that, but I don't know why the kids would know that already, because we just talked about this yesterday and Friday.
So she was told they weren't doing Russian anymore.
Okay, so that's interesting. So thanks for letting me know. So the Russian program, the best way for me to explain it is that we were given the Russian program a couple years ago. And so it is an enrichment opportunity for students. The only thing about any additional programs is that our school day doesn't become longer. They don't change our curriculums for it. And so we've just been kind of struggling or trying to figure out what's the best way to do Russian. And so I think the first year when we had one teacher, we had everyone do Russian for, they had it maybe like once every 2 weeks. And so when you think about immersion and learning another language, that's not really beneficial. And so the following year, we just focused on kindergarten and first grade. So right now, our second grade, I think it's our third and fourth. Our third and fourth graders, I think, are the students that have had it since kindergarten. And so what we see is there's definitely a difference in the fluency, being able to comprehend Russian, because they're taking it they've taken it for 3 or 4 years, and they've learned a lot. This year, they told us we were going to get another teacher so that everyone can have it. We couldn't have it. We couldn't get an additional teacher. So then we tried something different. So we tried for the first quarter to give it to our fifth graders as an enrichment. One thing about our group of fifth graders we have now, we have some really, some kids in there in our fifth grade that are doing an exceptional job. And so we thought it would be a good enrichment opportunity for them. They were going to take it twice a week. We didn't make it a class, like other classes get a grade for Russian fifth grade. The world language department didn't give them a space to have a grade. So we were just kind of trying it as an enrichment. But what we kind of talked about at the end of the first quarter for every grade level, we look at our data, we look at our curriculum. How are the students doing? What we found in fifth grade is that the teachers are not able to, they're behind in the reading and math curriculums because they're being pulled for Russian twice a week. In addition to Russian, we're probably one of the only elementary schools that have a full-time art teacher. Most kids get art once a quarter. We have it once a week. Once again, that's not factored into our schedule. So we're pulling kids from academic times for art. Most schools have 15 minutes for recess. We have 30 minutes for recess. So that's additional time from academics. A lot of schools have 30 minutes for specials. We have 45 minutes for specials to accommodate collaborative planning for teachers. So there's a lot of time taken out of the mandates for reading and math. And so the conversation that I just had with the fifth grade teachers, not the kids, just the fifth grade teachers, was we got to get these kids ready for middle school. My daughter is in middle school now. It's a different world when you get to middle school. And so especially, we have a big group of tag students in that fifth grade. They automatically go into accelerated 1 math courses. I need them to be prepared for those courses. So we did have a conversation about it. Whenever we make a decision, we kind of look at the whole picture. We'll communicate with parents. We're going to get a letter together and get that out. But I guess I'm moving too slow. You already got the word. So, but that was just our thinking that it would be nice to have Russian. The other thing is Greenbelt, the World Language Department is looking at getting Russian at Greenbelt Middle School, not for next year, but by the time I think the fourth graders get to the middle school. So us pulling them out now, we didn't know if that was going to benefit them in the long run because they would just be taking it this year and it wouldn't be at their school next year. And so we had a couple different conversations about this, but we really feel like we need to get them prepared for middle school.
Does this give the younger grades more access to Russian, like an extra class?
And so, like I said, today we had what we call a data utilization meeting for our first grade teachers, where we sit down and we look at all the students' data. We have conversations. We haven't got there to see if we're going to increase or what we're going to do. Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for me?
Are there times where the data is published, or that some of the parents can see the data, it can be de-identified?
So data, Maryland state data from our school assessments that we take in third, fourth, and fifth grade, that information is published to the public, yes. There's a Maryland State report card. There's also a link on the website where you can click on and see the data for our school.
Is that the same data you're looking at?
I'm talking about reading and math data from the school. So we don't publish everyone's data, no. The teachers can have conversations. They should have conversations with parents about it. and conferences, yes, but we don't publish it for everyone to see.
It just stuck out to me when you were saying about the art and the recess that is provided for the students here. I just wanted to say thank you for making sure that that happens, because it doesn't in other schools. And I don't know if you get any flack for taking out of instructional time, how you have to justify that, if that's hard on you or not, but thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah, I want to say thank you too, especially for the half-hour recess. I was so worried when I heard that 15 minutes was the norm, and I've been really happy that 15 minutes is, that it's a half hour here. And I think it really helps a lot with learning, with concentration and focus and attention, and so I'm really happy. I mean, and of course, from the physical exercise aspect of it, I think it's just wonderful. I'm delighted to do it, so thank you.
So we definitely take input from parents, from teachers. We want to do what's best for our students. It does require us to be flexible with things because it, like I said, we don't extend the day at all. We just have to try to figure out how to make all of these things fit, how to creatively go through the standards to make sure that we're teaching what kids need to know for the next grade level. So, yes.
I have a question about after-school clubs. Is there a list anywhere? I looked on the website and the page that's supposed to have a list of enrichment activities. There's nothing in there.
Okay, so yeah, I think, did you send us a message on Twitter? So you didn't give us a chance to answer now. So no, we just read it a few minutes ago. So teachers host different clubs after school. We have Miss Sanders updates the website. And so she has a list of all the clubs. So I will make sure that we get it on the website. Usually when there's a new club, second grade teacher, Ms. Maples, doing a dance club, what they usually do is they'll make announcements on the TV studio in the morning for the kids to let them know if they're interested. I know there's a cheerleading club.
As a parent, I never.
Right, and so what I'm saying, so,
about the-
okay, so we'll make sure that she can update that on the website, yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if they put them in all the newsletters, okay, we can look at that. And see if we can, when there's a new club, put it in the newsletters as well, yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vance. So we have a special guest.
Was there, I might have just come in afterwards, but was there a formal approval of the minutes?
There was.
Did you address them? Well, there were two things that I wanted to just have in writing.
Okay.
So the first thing was, back to school day, teachers thought it was a great turnout. I don't know, and a few of the parents and I had a conversation in the back. We don't know if we missed this because I have a conflict the first 10 minutes of the meeting, but according to this, maybe this wasn't discussed, but I didn't think it was a great turnout based on my past 2 years. Like I thought, like it was standing room only when it was in the evenings, and I didn't think this past Saturday, or the Saturday morning one was this. So I just wanted that in writing that, hey, maybe we can look to having it go back to the evenings. But I love that it was tried. I was so excited when I heard that it was going to be a Saturday morning. And we walked because we thought like we weren't going to get a parking spot. And then we showed up and we're like, where is everybody?
So I think that was a report from the teachers that they thought it went
Yeah, and
well.
so the teachers thought it went well. The one thing that we noticed that was different, in the evenings, all the kids come back. There were not a lot of kids that day. So I think that made it maybe less crowded because there were mostly adults. There weren't a lot of kids, but the teachers kind of went through and looked at their sign-in sheets. The other thing is that fourth grade, because one of the teachers had an activity, did offer a Thursday night, and a lot of the parents did come that night. It was the way that they offered it, that they came Thursday, and then only some of them came. So we can definitely look at it. The teachers thought it went well, but
Okay, some of the teachers I talked to, maybe it was just the grade level that I was in, thought differently, that they didn't have the show up, and they picked the Saturday because they thought the Saturday more parents were going to come, and then they were a little disappointed that they didn't. And then from the parents that I've talked to also, that they were surprised that it wasn't posted. So, because I do remember, so that, I just most of that noted somewhere. And then the other thing too, about the number 6 under President's report, when you're talking about ideas for parent or student workshops, something for parents and 5th graders about emotional loss and transitioning to middle school. I think that's how it was expressed at the meeting and how it's been discussion on the playground and discussion, elsewhere, that it's even beyond just the 5th graders. It's just concern about the middle school in general, and how can we even now, as parents of kindergartens, 1st graders, 2nd graders, 3rd graders, be I'm thinking of how to put this in a politically correct way. Just helping the middle school be more successful, a more successful time. And what can we even be doing to support Greenbelt Middle School now? So I think that that's it needs to be a bigger bullet, and whether we need to have more discussion with that, or whatever that looks like. So I just.
Okay, so you're talking more with the school versus just the students and how they're transitioning to homeschooling.
I'm talking as parents, like as the PTA, as the elementary school, like if we want to be supporters of public education, and what does the data show? How many elementary kids? And maybe I should have brought this up under new business, but I felt like we kind of hit on it last meeting, but not, like just having that maybe one of the discussions, one of the meetings be just about the middle school.
So I think we should probably table this for now because we do have a
Yeah,
presenter that we're going to get to tonight. However, the PTA president from Greenbelt Middle School has reached out several times. So I think I could talk to her and maybe invite her to a meeting, and I think there's a lot of things that we could do to work with them. We had been specifically talking about trying to host some things together throughout the year, but I think we could broaden our ways in which we interact with them.
Yeah.
It sounded like their PTA was not super well established, but that could potentially be one way that they could strengthen things.
I don't think they saw PTA until about 3 years ago, but all not there.
Yeah, so that was my only thing. It was just specifying, not just making that about the 5th graders, but.
Thank you. Going kind of building on that, from the last meeting, one of the main things that we heard from all of you in terms of types of things that we should be discussing and wanting to hear from in terms of new content is related to social and emotional support for the kids here in the school, which is a big broad term. But we thought that the best place to start would be with our professional school counselor. So we invited Ms. Hudson to come, and she's going to give a presentation to all of us. Thank you, Ms. Hudson. And I asked her specifically to talk about what she already does at the school, because I know from my own children that she does things within the schools and in the classroom that unless your child is part of it for whatever reason, you might not know these things are happening, but also asked her to talk about things that we can be doing as parents and resources that we might be able to take advantage of. So with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Hudson. And Nick, for those, if anyone's online, can they?
I posted the link for it so they can access it.
All right, good evening.
So bear with me, I don't give a lot of PowerPoint presentations. I try not to do that to the kids. So like I was introduced, I'm Ms. Hudson, I'm the school counselor. It's Kahaylin Hudson, so for anybody who I'm meeting for the first time, if you are emailing me, that is something kind of important to remember because it didn't change the email system. So I'll have it up at the end for you to take down my email address if you don't already have that contact in your inbox. So what does the school counselor do at a school? So we focus on the academic, career and college awareness, and social and emotional realms for the students, the different domains.
Are these slides going to be available? Because I can take them out, but if you're gonna.
They're already available.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the Google Drive, correct?
Yeah, and they're linked to the agenda now also.
So how do I support the students with from the academic domain of school counseling. So we talk about different test taking strategies. We do learning style assessments with students. I give assistance for organization and study skills. We do a review of grades and kind of look at where they were, where they're going to want to move to, and kind of setting some of those goals. Give them some strategies for focusing. I talk to them about educational apps and websites, time management, and like I said, goal setting. And so this is all done in a variety of ways. So it may not necessarily be one-on-one. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's in a small group. We just finished up 2 rounds with 2 sets of 4th graders on study skills, where they got to meet for 6 weeks, learning different study skills and note-taking tips and organizational strategies. Some of it is presented in classroom guidance. So it's given to the kids in a variety of different ways, and it's based on data. So I have the students fill out a needs assessment at the beginning of the year, and I kind of determine what their needs are for the school year, and that's how I formulate my groups. Or I'll look at their grades from the end of the last school year and kind of say, okay, this student may benefit from a group on study skills, and that's how I would kind of pick out my students that I'd be working with. And so for how I can support you, because I'm also here for the parents as well as the students. So I can provide recommendations for tutoring in the area, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech. So anything you may need help for your child with, please do reach out. I do have some resources that are in the area, some really great resources that other parents have shared with me, that I've talked to the clinicians, that I feel like they're strong clinicians and they'll be of support to the family. Going over learning style assessments. I'm a school instructional team coordinator, so that would be kind of when we would bring the parents in, the teacher in, administration in, myself in, to come up with an action plan to support your child in a learning need that they may be having. Articulation, I heard the mention about middle school. So I do try to bridge the gap as much as possible. It is very difficult to bridge that gap 100%. But going over to the middle school, having discussions with the 5th graders about what to expect with the middle school, and that's something that's been ongoing. You know, okay, so you're a 4th grader now, so when you get to middle school, it's not that far off, and just sort of preparing them for what it's going to look like. Recommendations for programming, whether it be a summer camp or you know, some enrichment activity, or if you want to do one of the magnet schools, apply for it. I do that as well for parents. And so I'm going to plug this a lot. Ms. Schwartz and myself, the school psychologist, Ms. Schwartz, would be giving an active parenting class. Our first class we're hoping is going to be held probably in January after the holidays, and there will be 6 sessions of active parenting class that we'll be running this school year. So both of us took the training. It was 36 hours, so we did the training in the active parenting classes, and we'll start giving those starting in January. So I have a short video clip about how you can support your kids, and hopefully the link works, guys. This is how you guys can kind of support your student.
Not a school day.
We've all been there, micromanaging, monitoring their activities, helping with homework. But guess what? These are not the things that will make the biggest difference in your kids' academic success. So what does work? People for Education knows. After sifting through 30 years of research from around the world, they have extracted the most important lessons for success. First, have high expectations. Let your kids know you expect them to do well, that you believe in them, and that their education matters.
So try this. If you work hard, I know you can do well. How do you think you can improve next time? I think you can do even better.
In our family, we care about school.
55 studies have looked at the lives of 300,000 kids, and guess what? High expectations deliver, more than drilling them with flashcards or helping them with homework. Number 2, talk about school. It sounds obvious, but don't just ask how was school today. Be specific. Let them strut their stuff. They love it when they feel smarter than you.
Try this instead.
So what was it like dissecting a frog?
Have you thought about the courses you might want to take next year?
Did you get to go outside for recess today?
A study of over 25,000 US grade 8 students found that talking to your kids about school has a bigger impact than limiting TV time or how often they go out during the week. Number 3, help your kids develop good work habits and a positive attitude. Help shape their work habits and planning. Encourage them to ask for help when they need it, and help them navigate a world full of distractions.
So try this.
Your persistence paid off. I knew you could do it. That's so great that you knew to get help when those girls pushed me.
We all find something's hard, but I know you can work through this. I can see you feel really bad at the mark on that test. What do you think you could do differently next time?
So help your kids develop a positive attitude and good work habits. The research shows it's more important than focusing on test scores. Number 4, read together. Reading is the foundation for education. So grab a book and read together often.
So try this.
Let's sit down and cuddle with your sister and read.
This book is great. What do you think will happen next? You should read this book when I'm finished. I think you'll love it.
Studies show that when parents read to kids at 5, they are more likely to love reading and do better in math and spelling by the time they're 16. So remember, it's important to read to your kids for fun rather than focusing on phonics. School and homework is a challenge for children and for parents. Your job is to support achievement, so don't be a homework policeman or a substitute teacher. Instead, tell them you expect that they will work hard, do their best, talk with them from school, help them develop good work habits, to persist even when the going gets tough, and encourage them to love reading. So talk with your kids and leave the nagging and micromanaging behind. You're more likely to have a successful student and a great atmosphere at home.
All right. Now, I'll tell you, my mom's takeaway was like, what about flashcards? I made my mom watch this. So I'm not saying no flashcards. It said more than flashcards. But, so I just wanted to kind of point that one piece out that she noted to me. I guess that was her mom still, she was still educating me. All right, let's see if I can get back into that. I apologize, that's the technology. Okay. So then the career and college awareness. So we talk about career awareness right now, actually right after career day. My classroom guidance this month is about career awareness. So we've been going into kindergarten through 5th grade, talking about different careers. And so they've been learning about, what's for the older students for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, or what kind of fits their personality and what might be something that they would enjoy doing. For the younger students, we're just kind of getting more information and learning about different careers. So we do a career inventory where they would take that kind of assessment to look at what would be good for them. Personal education plans. So this is only for 1st and 4th graders that I meet with the student individually. And we have a discussion about their goals, their aspirations, what they're interested in. And we kind of just have that talk. So that's something that we would be doing to kind of prep them in those areas. So we also are going to have our second post-high school option day on November 20th. This is for 3rd through 5th grade. And so this is just looking at, well, what are my options once I leave high school? So they'll get a chance to hear from a couple of different presenters, and then there'll be like a little forum where they can ask questions. So it's 4 presenters in the classroom and then a little forum where they'll get 15 minutes to just ask the questions they may have had during the presentation. We also have a college tour for 4th and 5th grade and a Kids to College curriculum for our 5th graders as well that the county provides. And so how I can help the parents with that is summer camp resources. One of the great things that I don't know people are necessarily aware of is that there is financial assistance for some of the summer camps down in Greenbelt. So just, kind of getting the word out that there are options, even if the family is not sure if they can financially swing it, there are options for summer camp. Giving out information about local cultural experiences. Greenbelt's great. But I also know I live in Bowie and there's always things going on, different, cultural things and dances and things that are just available that are free that you can go to with your family. Information about places you can take your child to build and explore, and again, the active parenting class as well. This is one that I wanted to highlight real quick. Some of you may know about for the 4th grade, every 4th grader can get a free park pass to the national parks. And I've always just been like, that's amazing. That's so great. That's something that the kids can do and hike and be in nature and learn. And it's free. I love the word free. Yes.
This is 4th grade. During the summer, Are you in fourth grade, like if you just got out, or you're about to go in? I mean.
So we did it already. It works through next summer.
Okay, so if I did it now, I can use this for next
And it's for the whole family.
It's for the whole vehicle that they're in.
Yeah. And so the website, you know, for anybody is gonna be in the Google, so just go on the website and it should give you all the information about that opportunity. And so just exposure, I guess that's the key for kind of preparing them for a career in college awareness and post-high school options, just exposing the kids to as many things and as many cultures and experiences as possible. So social development. So how I help the kids here. So mediations, we do a lot of peer mediations where now my focus is, I found these great forums that were like archived somewhere where the students are coming up with solutions. So they're writing out the problem, but they're not having a discussion until they've come up with a couple solutions on how they can solve the problem. So then that way we're not focusing on, well, she and he and they, and you know, it's just, okay, so how are we going to move forward? Let's share our emotions, but then let's look for a common ground where we can come to a solution to this problem. So becoming social detectives, really understanding what might be going on for yourself and someone else, becoming a good problem solver. So we do have social skills groups here. I'm currently running one with some of our fourth graders using the Superflex curriculum. And it was great. I was scanning something today. I saw one of my fourth graders in here in library, and I called them over and I said, so, you know, can you utilize Superflex for me right now? Which villain is taking over? So it's a full curriculum where there's villains and you're Superflex. Which villain is taking over? And immediately, and I was like, oh yes, he's getting it. So it's a really great curriculum. I wish I could offer it to more students. But once we finish it up, I'll get another group of kids in to kind of utilize the curriculum. I'm also running an empathy small group on Mondays with some fourth graders. We're using a novel, and we're using the novel as a springboard to discuss different scenarios and how they may be feeling sometimes, the students in the empathy group, as well as the characters in the book. We talk about friendship skills. Last month, we finished up our bullying lessons. I used the book Confessions of a Former Bully to talk to my upper grade students. We have our personal body safety lessons that will be further, like later on in the school year. We learn about, you know, spoken and unspoken word, that body language, and how that can come across for your tone of voice. Anger management, we're running an anger management group with some first graders right now, and team building activities. Again, all of this is offered in a variety of ways, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes small group, and sometimes classroom guidance. And so social development, active parenting class, understanding child development. So like, you may kind of check in and be like, well, my kiddo's doing that. And I might be like, yep, that's completely age appropriate. So sometimes just checking in and kind of finding out that is age appropriate for the kiddo. So offering books and websites to assist you with your children at home, and recommendations for outside agencies if you need some supports. All right, so this is how you can support your child. Okay.
4 questions you should ask children every day. These days, life gets more and more busy by each second. This hectic lifestyle that we are quite used to now affects our relationships, not only with our friends and partners, but most of all with our children. According to recent research, adults only have an average of 12.5 minutes per day to talk to their children. Approximately 8.5 minutes of that time are usually spent on accusations and prohibitions, and only 4 minutes are left for friendly conversation. With that in mind, we decided to find out how to spend time with children more productively. You just need to ask a couple of important questions every day to be on the same page with your child. If you're a parent, make yourself a cup of tea and listen up. And if you're a child, then you should probably imagine the world around you from your parents' perspective. Show them this video, and maybe even discuss what would be best in the case of your family. So, without further ado, here's what we found. A writer named Jamie Harrington says she asks her kids the same 4 questions every day. Ask your children open-ended questions, which can't be answered by a simple yes or no. This encourages your kids to express their feelings and evaluate their choices, she writes. So, what are these magic questions? Number 1, how's life? If at first your child doesn't want to respond, or just says something like fine or everything's okay, boy, they've been in my house, you don't need to insist on a fuller answer. Tell your child about your day, things you have learned, and things you have enjoyed. This provides them with a good role model and will encourage them to talk to you about their experiences. Even if your child doesn't say it, he or she appreciates your checking in and asking about small things. Everyone needs a support system, and being able to call your parents your friends, tell them about your problems, and know that you won't be judged is every child's dream. It's just that sometimes your child needs a little more time to open up and feel comfortable sharing with you his or her problems and insecurities. Be patient. Number 2, what's up with your friends? You can ask your kid about one specific friend, their relationship, and adventures together, or you can pose this question in general terms. This will enable your child to trust you and to open up to you if they face a difficult situation. One of the most common mistakes parents make is comparing their children with their friends. It's quite annoying, isn't it? Hit the like button if you've ever found yourself in this situation. Your kid will most likely lose any interest in talking to you when your questions about their friends always end up with, you see, John is such a great boy, or, well, Jennifer's parents must be so proud of her. Remember, your child is his or her own person with a unique mind and talents. Encourage your kids to be themselves and teach them to be brave enough to follow their dreams and work towards them, instead of pointing out their flaws and creating new insecurities that they'll have to get over later. Number 3, anything cool going on? If the weather is bad or your child just can't remember anything pleasant that happened to them that day, you should try to cheer them up. You can go to a movie or play an interesting game at home. Such activities might take their mind off things and help them relax. Plus, it'll help you two bond a lot more. We all have bad days, sometimes for our reasons and sometimes just because we woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Everybody copes with it differently. Some people want to be left alone, while others want to take their mind off of something that's bothering them. Don't insist, just offer your child something fun to do and let him or her decide. Number 4, do you need help with anything? Most of us find it difficult asking other people for help. A child who is not used to getting help with small things won't ask their parents for assistance in difficult situations either. Take small steps at first. Offer your child help with cleaning their room or doing their homework. Don't be afraid to ask. In fact, asking your child if they need help every day gives you the chance to be there for them when they need you the most. However, this doesn't mean that you just start doing everything for your kid. Keep a fine balance so that your child would learn to be, at the same time, wouldn't be afraid to ask for help if it's necessary and could lean on your shoulder during tough times. Try not to interrupt your kids when they're telling you a story. Make comments only when they ask you to. Do not forget about physical contact. Hug your child or grab their hand. If you're in a bad mood and simply don't feel like listening to your son or daughter right now, tell them about it and set a time when you can talk together. That will help you avoid unnecessary conflicts and fights. Being a parent is a very complicated and complex thing. Nobody knows everything right away. We learn every day with every new experience we gain. The most important thing is to just be there for your kid. Believe us, he or she will return the favor. Do you have any advice of your own to the parents? Or maybe you have something to say from a kid's perspective.
Technology is great until it's not. All right, there we go.
She's close to your my tech person.
Yeah. I think we have to turn this. And then. My computer, does that change too? I believe so.
Take care that way and hold it up for everybody.
Should be. I know.
So in the interest of time, I'm gonna go ahead and just go over the ways that I help the students with emotional, there we go, with emotional well-being. So we talk about self-confidence, a sense of belonging, healthy habits, help identify stressors and ways to reduce stress, coping skills, friendships, because that definitely helps reduce stress and keep us emotionally balanced. Know how and when to ask for help, and just going over emotional literacy with the students so that they know the varying types of emotions. Right, so again, an emotion, like with parents, I can go over that emotional literacy techniques, various websites to go over a multitude of topics to discuss helping your students and your kids with their emotions. Various books that your child and you can enjoy together. So I do have recommendations for, picture books or even what we call bibliotherapy. There are some great books for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade as well. I actually started this school year on the back counter. I did a GoFundMe page over the summer for some of those books that the students can check out on their own. Because when I looked in our library, I was like, okay, so there's some for the younger kids, but there was nothing really for the older kids. So the kids can check them out now and kind of read and then have a discussion with me once they've read over the books. The active parenting class and discussing healthy habits, like how much sleep, different nutritional things with families as well. This is our last video. Now this lady is very pretty. I'm going to be honest. I have to put it out there. She had great advice in a few spots where she just got too much coffee or something. I'm not sure. But she had good points. So let me see if I can get it. We might not get to watch her. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
Parenting. This week's episode, we're diving into emotional literacy. And I know it probably sounds like a total snooze fest, but it's really important. And we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. We're going to dive into what it is, why it's important, and how we can teach our kids to flex those emotional muscles. Plus, I've got a sweet little download for you and some fun activities. So, like I said, you're not falling asleep with emotional literacy. It sounds so late. Okay, so what is emotional literacy? I know it just makes you want to fall asleep. Probably even hearing me say it, because it's kind of a mouthful, isn't it? And basically, all it really means is the ability to recognize and name emotions not only in ourselves but in others, because that underpins, that skill is so all those juicy characteristics we want to develop in our kids, things like self-compassion, empathy. Those things are impossible if we don't have the language to recognize and name emotions that we're seeing and witnessing in others. Because the thing is, I found this really interesting when I first heard this, that the average person can only name 3 emotions. Can you guess what they are? I know, just off the top of my head, I was able to happy, sad, and then some version of mad or angry or cheesed off. That's, for a lot of us, those are our go-to emotions. But the human experience is so much more varied and so much more vast than that. And especially when it comes to anger. Because anger is actually a secondary emotion. Anger only shows up after some other more sensitive emotions have maybe cropped up. And then we're using anger as that socially acceptable mask. Things like jealousy, fear, resentment, regret, those can all be masked by anger. So that's where emotional literacy is really important, to just kind of beef up our awareness and not be distracted by especially anger, to peel back the layers and look at what's underneath. But we can't look at what's underneath if we don't have the language to match. So that's where we come in. And this is one of those interesting things where, at least for myself, I was kind of learning this skill as I was trying to teach it to my kids, because I was a happy, sad, mad person. Like that was the extent of my emotional vocabulary, just because it wasn't a muscle I was used to flexing. So as I was learning these emotions, I was sharing them with my kids. And one really fun way you can do this is through your phone. Of course, like I've got the phone in arm's reach, who doesn't? But using the emojis on your phone to go through and ask your kids what each of the faces are and what they think each of the emojis is feeling. And this actually, for us, it happened quite organically, because, I don't know, I had an update and there were some new faces and I didn't actually know what they were. I was kind of confused by them, and I was just sitting there with my kids, and we were going through and naming them and guessing what the emojis were feeling. That's a really fun way to start the process with your kids. And to help you in naming those emotions, I've got a free download called Feeling Vocabulary, just moving beyond happy and sad. It's got a ton, I don't know how many, over 50 different feeling words. And I'll leave the link, you can grab it in the description below, and it'll also give you access to my entire parenting resource library. So from here on out, you'll have all the cheat sheets, all the worksheets right there in one spot. But make sure to grab your feeling vocabulary before you start working on things like emoji emotions with your kids, so you have some back pocket examples and aren't just scrambling with the happy, sad, mad like I was. So I found that really helped. Another really good option, especially with small kids, don't try this with older kids. They'll probably think you're totally lame and they'll just roll their eyes. Is I call it grocery store detectives. I would do this with my kids when they were younger, and really what it is recognizing and naming emotions in others, and developing that sensitivity for, why do you think that baby is crying, and what do you think that face means, and why do you think that little boy is laying in the middle of the aisle throwing a fit? Oh wait, it's you. But I think you get the idea. It's all just about practicing and naming those emotions, and you can even make faces with each other around the table, of course, depending on your kid's developmental level and their age. This would probably not be appropriate for like a 14 or 15-year-old. They would just totally tune you out. But for your little kids, it can be really fun and really effective to practice making different faces and guessing what the emotion is. Another really good one too, you can put the old Google machine to work and just Google feeling faces, and about a million different, probably actually more than a million search results of a whole bunch of little faces showing different emotions that you can go through with your kids and look at the faces and start to get names for what each of the feelings are. So your kids can have more of an emotional vocabulary that many of us had growing up, the happy, sad, mad. So then that way they can start developing self-compassion. They can better experience empathy because they've got the tools and the underlying skills to do that. So I'll leave you to it, guys. I hope this has inspired you to try out either emoji emotions or feeling faces, or trying grocery store detectives to help boost up your kids' emotional literacy. And of course, if you're looking for more in-depth support, one-on-one resources, join us over in the Parenthood.
All right, so that was the last
section. And the last part is just if anybody has any questions, as well as my contact information. Like I mentioned in the beginning, it's .Cahalan, not .Hudson, which can be a bit confusing for folks. Does anybody have any questions that I might be able to answer now? I might be able to jot down and answer later. You can ask them. Yeah.
Have you all thought about what time the parenting class will be offered and then what the limit is on space? Like if the curriculum has a limit for the group?
So the curriculum does say to keep it, kind of smaller, 6 to 8 families. So Ms. Schwartz and I are looking to offer it in the evenings. So probably starting around 6 o'clock. Both of us have families of our own, so we'll both have to coordinate before we can actually give a definite time, but definitely an evening program.
When you say classes, is it like a family would go several times, or like 6 families one week and then a different 6 families another week? I mean,
So ideally, to get the most of it, it would be 6 families that could travel through the whole program.
I'm not really sharing a question, just maybe seeking my solidarity or just mentioning this, that I think with my child and I think with others that, they're able to really maintain a lot of composure and self-control during the day. And then we, as their safe space and at their home is where everything gets released. I don't know what to do about that, except, these things, but I just don't know how things at school can play a part in that. Like I know there's that meditation or kind of peace room, which I've been really intrigued by, but haven't known how to. I don't think my daughter really needs it during school.
Right.
Maybe she would use it, or I don't know how it works.
Right. So the mindfulness room, we do ask that, the teachers kind of let somebody know in the main office that a student needs time in the mindfulness room. There's a sign-in in the mindfulness room. Typically, either Ms. Stagg or Dr. Gates or myself or instructional lead teachers, somebody's kind of in the conference room area. So if we know it's a fairly responsible student, we'll just kind of leave the door propped and kind of show them the tools, mindfulness coloring, meditation that they can do in the mindfulness room to just kind of decompress for a period of time.
I think her question sort of goes back to the discussion around having workshops for families throughout the year. So I don't know if you all might be able to offer, not for folks for that 6-week curriculum, but maybe a one-off on going more into depth into these topics for families, just as like a one-time event for a larger group of families that may not be appropriate for the specific curriculum, the intensity of it, but maybe even doing that as a first introduction to sort of an active parenting, and then sort of pulling parents that may need additional support from that original larger group session where a larger number of families are available and able to come and get the information to ask questions like that, or to talk more about things that are challenging at home for kids.
Absolutely. And I mean, ideally, if it was something that Ms. Schwartz and I could maybe work out a schedule, maybe one of us could run for 6 families and the other one could run for another 6 families on alternate times. So that's something that her and I could definitely take into consideration and just sort of have maybe an overview session to kind of give information to parents of what the 6 sessions would look like so they can make an informed decision. Thank you. Yes.
A lot of what you talked about was small groups for various things. Are the kids nominated by teachers, like kids that would, seem to get a lot out of, for example, anger management, or is it kids that sort of volunteer?
So it's a variety of things. So it's observations, it's referral, documentation forms or referrals from previous years, data sets from the teachers, my own observations, because I know most of the kids fairly well, to sort of say this is something that they might, benefit from. But then there are those ones that self-refer, and I may not know, they're struggling with anger because they're bottling it up. But then when they self-refer and I talk to them a little bit further, I see that is something that they can use a little assistance.
1 question. 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 Question?
No, just talk.
And I kind of to your point, Elliot, I will also say that I've reached out to Ms. Hudson on, can you please talk to my daughter about this? So you can self-refer.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yes.
To her as
Parental
well.
referral.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
And I
absolutely.
think teachers are also really helpful, like if you reach out to a teacher, this is my experience, reaching out to a teacher like, I don't know where this is coming from, and then it's okay, well, this is a classroom strategy that we can work on, also, you know, yeah. Including, like, I don't know if Elsa still does this, but like, sometimes Elsa will just write down a note and give them. So she gets it out, gives it to Miss Hudson, and usually by the time she goes to check on her, she's like, what? Like, has forgotten what the issue was.
So kindergarten through second grade, the teachers or the parents or administration refers the student to me. Starting in third grade, I have a little box back there that the students can write a note. They can drop their referral in, and then I go and see them. I do have to kind of triage the notes to determine like, okay, this takes priority, and then I kind of have to filter them out to see, you know, who I need to see second or third. So sometimes it does take some time because if a student's in crisis, they're first, of course.
Okay, I'll be your lawyer. All right. We'll have to go through the rest of it. Mostly just have updates and exciting ones at that. So I had wanted to give a quick update on membership and volunteers. We're only three months into the school year, but halfway through all of our biggest fundraising events, because our two biggest ones happen in the first couple of months of the school year. We have had 218 volunteers, so that could mean you volunteer at multiple things. We've had 357 hours worth of volunteering, which I think is pretty remarkable. Granted, Raphael's Race and the Labor Day book sale are the hugest and most time intensive. And I will say that those hours I don't think capture, for example, Becca and Peter's time or Pete's time on the race. So it's probably triple if you think about how much time they put in. So I think that's remarkable, and we're very appreciative for all of your help. We currently have 62 families as part of the PTA, which is 97 members, individual members, because it's a individual membership, which I think is great. Last year, I believe we ended with 101, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we're in great shape. If you want to join, if you're not currently part of the PTA, we can sign you up tonight, or you can always do this online. So I think that's all exciting stuff. And then kind of a nuts and boltsy thing, Jeff, who was our treasurer last year, very kindly put in our audit. So the PTA is actually a 501c3, and almost everyone knew that, so we have to do auditing, which we have to do by November 1st.
Yes.
Yes, it had to be by November 1st. So Jeff's just going to give us a quick update on the audit.
Yep. So the report you have to give is just sort of big round numbers, but you also have to give the budget and other things. And so at the beginning, the fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. And so last year we came in with a budget, a balance of just over 10,000, and we actually deposited 24.5 thousand on the year, which is high from the budget. We budgeted about 17 or 18,000. And the reason it was high was because of the mural donations and the Inks movie, were sort of an extra 5,000 or 6,000 that we actually made on the year. We had some disbursements of 22,000, and so beginning this next fiscal year, the current fiscal year, we had started a balance of 12,500. So, what was that?
Will that be, like, can we put that online, or is that something that's not supposed to be?
Well, I've sent copies.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering, should I take this and put it in the minutes, or you have it separate? Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna move over here because I think I'm too quiet. This is better. I'm here. Okay. Thank you, Jeff, for doing that. Pete is gonna give us an update on Raphael's race, which was just about a month ago. It was fantastic. Pete did an amazing job, and he's just gonna give an update on where we're at, how we did.
Yeah, so October 20th, Raphael's race, the weather, we had a little bit of rain overnight that before, but the weather was great at race time. We had about 75 people coming to the race, the 5K and the 1K. Mayor Jordan came and sent everybody off, and we had, I think, about 42 volunteers I counted who helped out. Quite a few people around here.
We had a T-Rex run.
We had a T-Rex run the 1Ks. We had a lot of sponsors who donated. Ben's restaurant, this fish fry, gave us some gift cards. We had a bunch of other local community folks give us some things that we used as our drawing prizes. I think the revenue for the race, and Neil probably has the numbers better than I do, but it's kind of split between the registrations for the race and the ticket sales. And so the ticket sales are a huge part of it. We had a lot of folks help sell tickets after school, and I think the co-op was kind of the most effective place for us to be stationed and selling the drawing tickets. And yes, and I had one prize that came in late from the Nationals. So I need somebody, Jessica did a lot of volunteering, so I'll have her just draw. Maybe you'll even draw your own. One prize. Savannah, right? I don't think so. Okay, so I've got Savannah Riley gets tickets to the Nationals next year. And Anil, I think we raised like $2,300 or something like that.
Yes.
Which is a bit more than the year before, so I think that's pretty good.
Well, gross is about 3,150, which is about 150 above the estimate, and it's compared to the prior year.
Yeah.
And I think this year we also had we split some expenses with the nursery school. And it was our year to pay for some of the expenses, so our expenses were a little bit more. So we definitely did different. And I think the one last thing that we need to do is write a check to Camp Sunshine. We can connect with Vanderlei on.
Yeah, typically we give 10% of the proceeds to the profit. Okay, thanks.
Right, next, Ingrid is going to give us an update on Arts and Music.
Good evening, everybody. The fall projects that we had planned are complete. So the kindergartners did their apple tree project. We had a really good time eating apples, making apples, writing sight words. Then they saw a puppet show. It went great. I feel like a rock star when I go down the hall. And also George Cashel has finished his animation project with Lindsay Volk's 5th graders. So that means half the 5th graders have not had animation project yet, and we're still working on the details for that. I will need volunteers for some upcoming projects to do, for example, cutting out of snowflakes for the 1st grade for the Tree of All Seasons. Use the die cutter in there. I can show you how. I'll give you paper. And it takes just like 20 minutes to make 130 or so snowflakes for them to write poems on. If you don't want to do that, you can help me put the snowflakes up on the tree once they're complete. I also need someone to help me make art journals for the 3rd grade. Now this project doesn't happen until March or April, but that will be here before we blink. And if you feel like doing that in the cold months, winter, next to your fireplace, just let me know. I'll give you all the supplies. If someone wants to be outside and help me weed the courtyard, that would be great too. We need to prepare the 3 beds for the planting of the peas, which will be probably in March. So the next thing is that we want to grant the Jim Castles Award this year. I'm very excited about it. We're going to do a very big project with the 4th grade, and they will have the whole school will have a puppet show. It's the Giant Turnip, which is a folk tale. It's about celebrating community and also taking care of the earth. So we're hoping to have sort of a, I don't know, I can't give you more details. But the fourth graders will be doing workshops with shadow puppetry, which will enhance their curriculum with folk tales. And they will be putting on little shows for the lower grades in the classrooms. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's it for right now.
Thank you. All right. I'm right here, right there. I didn't know I was going to be on the agenda, but
Yes,
so
yeah.
very quickly, emails. So we had the welcome back breakfast in the beginning of the school year, and then we're looking to do quite smaller events in December, February, which would just be something looking like a small breakfast in the morning, like continental breakfast. But our big event is always in May. And so if you want to help out with teacher appreciation, please mark that box when the sign-in sheet goes around. And in future agendas, we can have Ellie's email and my email on this so that if you want to contact us directly with ideas or how much you want to volunteer that week, you can email us and let us know. And just to let you know too, just little things like some of the parents did tonight, just letting the principals, letting the teachers, letting the counselors know that they're appreciated. The teachers love that. So remember that throughout the year. Like one teacher was telling me that they are the ones who are spending hours and hours and hours with our children every week. And so the kids find ways to show their appreciation throughout the week, but they really like knowing that the parents are appreciating them too. So if you think about it in the next few weeks when it's coming up in the holiday season, just let your teacher know that, and the specialist teachers and the administration know that you appreciate how hard they're working for our kids and for our community.
Next week is actually American Education Week.
Yes.
April 16th. So next week is a perfect week to drop it out to your teachers. All right, next up we have the treasurer's report.
Okay, so for the treasurer's report, as of today, the cash balance, we have about 27,000. So we started out and 12,000. I think the biggest fundraiser was in the previous month, which is the Labor Day book sale. Income since our last October meeting is 3,760, and well, the expenses are $6,000. Some are yet to be cleared for the bank, but they're already accounted for. From income standpoint, of course, some of you may not know the Labor Day festival. We actually got a very price for $200. It was good. Memberships and donations. Raphael's rates already mentioned, 3,150 gross over there. Amazon Smile showed up on the statement. So I'm assuming a lot of you do allow shopping through Amazon as well. So when you do, go to smile.amazon.com and do your shopping through that. And of course, be sure to select the charity as the email has mentioned here. So.
Is it worth sending another reminder?
Yeah.
It's a weird name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, you would send that out in a separate email.
Well, let's put it in the notes and then we can also send it a separate email. It's a perfect time with the holidays.
It's in the notes. I'll put it in the, it's gonna be weird.
Yeah. Pull it out, yeah.
So as for expenses, I think I've already talked about expenses for Raphael's raise, beautification, the key expenses or the staff appreciation. We had major expenses on like agenda books for the school, elementary school support item, first part of that, so that's 2,500. You have to clear, but that's already been sent. GAWA, Family Art Fund, that's also ready. So that's basically what $6,000 gets. So there's a lot going on, of course. As far as the gross item, always helps me. Sure. So yeah, so far, yeah, we have taken in like 23,000 for the year and spent about 12,000 for the year. So,
Very good.
good.
The other thing, Karina just sent us a note before this that, you know, how she coordinates the box tops for us. We got the first check and it's $321.90, which is essentially free money.
Right.
I mean, not really, because you have to buy the products that the box tops are on, but all that to say that that's totally worth it to click those and bring them to school.
Finally, a reminder to all the volunteers, reimbursements, the seats, expense reimbursement forms. The sooner you turn those in, the sooner you get the money back, and the better we can provide the numbers as final numbers for any effort that we take. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Related to reimbursements, I meant to look this up before I came here tonight. There's been a lot of questions on if you buy something for the PTA or an event that we're sponsoring, how you get reimbursed. We should look to make sure that the reimbursement form is on the website so people can access it. We can make a note on that, because it might be there, but it might be buried. And then we could also send out a note to the listserv on if you do something like that, this is where you put in your reimbursement, and this is what you need to submit in order to get reimbursed. All right. Really quick, old business. We still need spring fair co-chair. Amy's not here to advocate for herself, so I'll advocate for her. And then next year we do need 2 people to help with Labor Day, which is a huge job, super fun. So we're taking nominations of people. I have no problem calling and talking and convincing people. So if you have ideas, all right, and then just a couple of quick new business things. So, has anyone heard of Help Unite Greenbelt? Has anyone heard about this? So, Robert Goldberg Strassler, who I believe is the husband of Miss Judy, who teaches ceramics at the community center, is doing, I'm going to read off of this because I'm not super familiar with this, but he has an organization that's called RUAC, Random Unselfish Acts of Kindness. And he's in the beginning phases of organizing the hub event, or the hub walk, which is to help unite all parts of Greenbelt. And he had reached out to Amy Miesel just because of her efforts with the pumpkin walk this year, how she had it in 3 different locations, trying to get a broader kind of swath of Greenbelt participating in that. So he contacted her and asked if she would contact the PTA, seeing if there was something that we had wanted to do to get involved in it, and he had thought that it could maybe be a fundraising opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. And so Amy and I had a quick back and forth. And I had wanted to bring this to you all. It's in March, so we have a little bit of time to organize around it. And since the first event, I don't know anything more than I just said right now. However, he would be willing to come to our next PTA meeting, which is not until February. But I thought at a minimum, we could put a call out for people to participate in it. I don't know that we have the manpower to like do yet another fundraising event. But I just wanted to kind of throw this out here to see if anyone would be interested in kind of spearheading in it, or if you knew anything else about it.
I'd be interested in talking more to them about it. It's hard to sign up without knowing what the vision and the expectation is.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to talk more with them about it. February is kind of late for us to bring back to the table.
Yeah.
But maybe after talking to him, putting it out for folks that might be more interested, maybe in December, whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to talk more with him about it just to see what the ask actually is, because it seems like he's trying to figure that out too.
He definitely is trying to figure that out. I went to the ACE meeting a couple of weeks ago, and somebody else was kind of reading off the same thing. And I was like, I don't know what that is. But she had less information than I even had. I think the walk, you know how sometimes you still do a bike from like Old Greenbelt to the new kind of beyond Target, I don't know what that's called. Greenbelt Station, and then over to where the kids play soccer. Yes. Kind of do a bike ride. I think his thought is that there would be a walk, and you walk like 2 miles off, and then 2 miles, and 2 miles, or something like like that. But we have a February meeting, and then we have a March meeting, and this isn't until March 31st. So I could put you in contact with him. I'm happy to be involved in the conversation as well. And maybe we can have some pre-conversations and then also see if you had wanted to come to February. I feel like this isn't something that we need to push or necessarily be involved in, but I was like, oh, random consultation acts of kindness, and I'm supportive of that.
I prefer that.
Okay.
If they come to the National Night Out, and they have the table set up in Green Briar.
Okay.
Where they talk about acts of kindness, they have a bag that they give people where it asks you to do things for other people. So I think I'm familiar with that, but
Okay.
this is.
So yeah, and this is, like, again, he said this is definitely his first thing. So I'll forward this to you. Is that cool? Cool. And then the only other new business things are that I believe these dates are going to be coming out to everyone soon, but the book fair is going to be November 30th through December 7th. And Ms. Holston, you can coordinate the book fair. We can help get volunteers for you. This is a big volunteer opportunity for the PTA. It's pretty fun, right?
It's very fun. And you get like some scholastic dollars as a reward for working. Then you can spend it in the fair.
And there's lots of different times that you can sign up. So that information will be coming out. Be on the lookout for that. And then the holiday shop is December 10th through 14th. Is that still the dates for that? And I think you all and Ms. Hudson and Mr. Richardson are going to be coordinating that. So be on the lookout for that. And please sign up if you can. And then the last thing, which I apologize if I didn't put this on here, but our next meeting is not until February 5th. So we have a break over the holidays. And Jessica, help me out here. We already have a speaker planned to come in February about the online voting. I'm forgetting his name. Oh, I didn't know. Anyways. Vincent. Mr. Vincent is going to be coming and giving a presentation. We do need to figure out how we're going to schedule the PTA meeting for that time, because this presentation is a little bit longer, at least an hour, potentially even longer. So we might start a little bit earlier. And I was going to coordinate with Ms. Dag and Ms. Hudson, or Ms. Dr. Gaines, to see if we wanted it to do it here or if we think more people might be coming. So we will figure that out between now and February.
There's 1 minute left, so I'll just give a little bit of background. Lauren Cummings, our president, last year saw him present at a middle school that her son was at and thought it was just really important information. It's not necessarily just about bullying, but bullying. But,
online safety.
Just, yeah, online safety in general. He said it's been really impactful. It's, I think, hard maybe to hear, a little scary for parents. It's not child friendly, I don't think.
Yeah. No, it's definitely just for us.
And he said he'll just kind of hit us with everything just to kind of expose us. There's not a lot of time for Q&A. It's just, you need this information. And so it sounds like he's talking about things that to think about now as we move forward with allergies. So, but yeah, he comes highly recommended.
And I think I might have a flyer from when I originally reached out to him, so we can also circulate that in advance of the meeting so you can all see. But I do think that, and we can maybe send it to you all if you want to share it with the teachers, because maybe some of the teachers would be interested in doing this. That's it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to those of you who came to Morrison's folk dance. I think it was super fun.
Very
We're a
fun.
little worried.
Thank you, Morris.